Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 143, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And Dracologist. Good evening.
Ooh, stuck that landing. Not one fumble or fimble. Or tumble or timble.
For this 10th anniversary, the pilot will play in the land of playing backwards.
What could possibly go wrong?
Possibly. That's the first thing that's gone wrong.
There's an anecdote connected to that saying, but that's going for some later date.
So, this week, as we teased at the end of Reactive last on Tuesday, we wanted to get into the thick of things here with the difficulty discussion that's been going on a lot of social media spaces and in a lot of the game press. It's so funny because before Sekiro was released, Dark Souls was like universally talked of as positive. There were some people that said, maybe it's not my type of game because of its difficulty type, but nobody was ever saying it was bad or anything like that. But
I did see questions of like, should there be an easy mode or an easier mode for Dark Souls? I don't know if it was for 1 or well, it couldn't have been. Yeah, I don't know if it was for 1 or 3 or what.
Well, probably remastered. When that came out.
Yeah, like
remastered was the
maybe, but like I have
recent.
definitely seen articles and posts talking about or asking about whether like the FromSoft game should have an easy mode, which is kind of why now that Sekiro's out, it's like, oh, they're asking it again. Like, okay, and everyone's getting mad about it. No, it shouldn't have an easy mode. It's like, didn't you get mad last time and the time before that? Shut the hell up.
Yeah, I guess my feeling on this was that there are some people that are like, it's just the way they intended the game, so just let it be. Which I could see some merit in that. This is the way they want the game to be, so that's cool. But some people have brought up some interesting points which I never even thought about, and one of them was a question of accessibility.
Yeah.
I never really thought about this. Now, I should preface that I almost universally play games on normal mode unless there is some sort of advantage to hard mode or I really, really, really love a game in particular. And I want to try the hard modes. Like the original Halo, I used to play those on Heroic. I didn't play them on Legendary because I didn't think Legendary was fun, but the Heroic level seemed to be the sweet spot for me. With a lot of first-person shooters, I actually tend to crank it up just a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of people play Doom, like the original Doom. Like, Nightmare Mode was almost like a joke, where, like, enemies regenerate, and, like, in Doom 3, you're constantly losing health. But Ultra Violence, which was harder than the default difficulty, hurt me plenty. Like, I think, like, it's almost like the standard difficulty now is Ultra Violence, the hard mode, but not stupid hard mode.
Yeah, and actually a lot of people say that the hardest mode in 2016 Doom is where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
People really like Doom aficionados really love what they did with the challenge there.
Okay.
So I think this is the way I think about it. When I was a kid, I used to play almost all of my games on easy mode. I used to have a Genesis growing up, and the original NES never had difficulty select, or if it did, it was very, very few games had it. Maybe Mega Man 2 is really the only game that I know of that has a difficulty selection on the original
Maybe like Mortal
Nintendo.
Kombat or something. Do they have that?
The original Nintendo didn't even have that. So, didn't even have Mortal Kombat.
No,
so,
but I was talking about Genesis though.
Well, no, Genesis had a lot of games had an easy mode. A lot of them did. I used to play the Streets of Rage games on easy, believe it or not, until I was a little older. And then I wasn't afraid to play the games. I used to play.
I forgot if I did easy, but I never did hard.
Yeah, I hardly ever play hard mode, and unless there's a really good reason to. For instance, I think the way to play Gunstar Heroes is on hard mode. I think that's the definitive way to play the game. In particular, because when you go into Green Stage, he has this boss called Seven Force, which is probably the most iconic boss in the game, and in easy mode, you get to fight 3 of his forms. In normal mode, you get to play 5, and then in hard mode, you get to fight all 7. And they're all randomized if you're playing the easier modes. But on hard, you get to fight them all. And I really love that boss, and I think the game actually really shines in hard mode. Also, I've beaten it countless times, so that is the type of the experience that I want out of the game now. I want a challenge.
That's the thing I was going to go into, actually, which Gunstar Heroes, I guess it's not really that punishing. It's just like a different, like more of the boss if you play on hard mode. But do you remember, maybe not quite that era of games, but like a couple of years later, where there were the Genesis still pulled this off, actually. Sometimes you wouldn't fight the true boss, or you wouldn't even play later levels in the game if you were on easy. It was like, no man, play it on normal. Or in some games they would even say like, no, you gotta do it on hard for the real good stuff. And this is like, it's so annoying.
Yeah. Konami in particular was very guilty of that.
Wasn't it? I remember I saw you finally beat Rocket Knight Adventure, and they were like, yeah, but for real hard mode. It's like, oh, fuck you.
And then in that game, it's particularly annoying because if they adjusted the difficulty to be much harder in the normal mode than it was in the Japanese version, so like the hard mode in American. On the American game is like impossible. It's really fucking difficult.
And even if you're good at the base game, the final boss is like a mech fight with totally new mechanics that you're not prepared for.
Yeah, it's not fun.
And like Castlevania 64 cut off like a third to half of the game if you played it on easy mode. Shadows of the Empire cut off like the last scene of the ending. If you played it on not hard mode, it was such a dick.
Which game is that?
Shadows of the Empire. That was with Dash Rendar.
Star Wars.
That was on the N64, and now it's on GOG.
Okay. I wanted to say Raptor Call of Shadows, that if you play on very easy, it has like, it only allows you to play the first 5 levels, I think.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I guess the point is here that I think that if any game has more options to play it, so that it could reach a wider audience for any reason at all. I mean, even if somebody just wants a breezy game, a breezy playthrough, and kind of just wants to play through a game on the story, or maybe let's say they're not as experienced of a gamer, it'd be cool if there was an option for them. And then if you want bragging rights, go ahead into your hard modes,
I just remembered something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a game called Castle in the Night, I think. It was a little sort of Metroidvania game with very 8-bit style graphics. And it absolutely, it has an easy mode, but it's complete, it's not the game. It's just taking the piss.
Oh, well, you know what? Ninja Gaiden, Black, maybe? I think did that. Like, its easy mode was an actual easy mode, but the loading screens would always mock you for using it.
They call it Ninja Dog mode, yeah.
Yeah, because, the creator of the game really didn't want an easy mode, and they were like, no, put it in. He's like, fine, but I'll make you not like it. No, but the thing I was going to mention, though...
in Metal Gear Solid 5, they put a chicken hat on your head.
Oh, that's amazing. And, in 3, you have the easy gun, which just breaks the fucking game. Because you get a laser sight, and I think they give you a radar, which is anachronistic, but it's easy mode. And it's infinite ammo, and it's a trank. It's, the most insane gun in the game. No, but what I was going to bring up, though, probably, the quintessential take on easy mode, whether it should exist, is Fire Emblem. What was the first game to do this? Awakening, where they allowed you to turn off the permadeath.
Permadeath, I think you're right. Awakening was the first one to not have permadeath.
This is, I think, the perfect example of people who advocate against easy mode. They no, you should play the game the way it was intended to be played. Turning off permadeath is for wusses. Play the game for real. But these same people don't want to lose any characters. So if someone ever dies, they just fucking save scum. They just reset the mission. And so
what's the point?
You might as well just play on easy mode at that point. You're not, as far as I'm aware, you don't lose anything for easy mode. It just makes it not infuriating.
Yeah, a lot of games have been like that recently.
This reminds me of XCOM, where you
Yeah.
that not the recent XCOM, the old UFO Defense.
Oh,
where
like PC and like PS1.
I don't know if there was a PS version, but I do know that in the
Terror of the Deep had PS1 for sure.
I do remember that the DOS version was like, you step out of the ship and like a little sectoid bastard with a plasma pistol shoots you across the entire map into the first guy who steps out of the landing plane.
Yeah, there have been quite a few games as of recent that have just let you pick an easy mode if you want it, and then that they don't give you any emotional baggage for it.
Well, yeah, there are several games that Yakuza does this. If you die to the same fight or the same boss like 2 or 3 times, when it allows you to like continue or quit to the title screen, you'll have a third option, not a third option, but another question will come up first. Like, do you want to lower the difficulty down like one? And I think you can adjust the difficulty whenever you want too. So like you could just do it for this fight. Like, do you want to maybe go a little easier?
Like I can understand, aficionados being like, you know what, like the game should be like this, and it's it has an intention or whatever. But I don't think they're thinking of people that are unlike themselves. You know what I mean?
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, I have to admit, I have a bias toward the Dark Souls games myself, and I'm like, oh, there shouldn't be an easy mode because it was designed that way. But at the same time, you could just tweak some numbers and have enemies have less health and do less damage or something, and then like that's it.
Or even just like make them slower.
That's the thing. Like, I was gonna say, but it's all about the gameplay elements, and you have to learn how to dodge and everything. Like, yeah, but if you didn't die in one fucking hit, that'd be nice too.
Yeah, I mean, the games would be still pretty fucking hard, even if you went a little easier.
There's 2 things come to my mind. The first one, what was the first one?
Neither of these things come to your mind.
While you're thinking of this, though, like for perspective, the way I play Dark Souls is I never upgrade my health ever. I upgrade my endurance like crazy, so I can put on the heaviest armor. So I still have low health, but I take less damage. But meanwhile, I've been playing Bloodborne, and the concept hasn't really sunk in with me yet. Where like I'm like, I'll upgrade my strength forever, but you can't upgrade armor. And it's not armor, it's clothing that has like slightly varying stats for physical damage. Maybe
you also regain health.
Obviously, like there may be much heavier protection for poison or for fire or something, but for physical damage, like it's just clothing. So I'm still getting like 2-shotted by bosses because armor, it's not really armor. So I'm like, no.
You do know that you can regain health.
There is that, but like I still take way more damage than I'm used to in Souls games. Like in Souls games, I have heavy ass armor. In Bloodborne, you can get it back, but like enemies hit so hard in the first place, like you better get it back.
I wanted one of the things I wanted to say is Atlus. Anyone want to talk about Atlus difficulty?
You mean like Persona games and stuff like that?
One of the lads I don't know, it's just sort of from the top of my head, but plays Etrian Odyssey Nexus.
The Etrian Odyssey games are extremely difficult. I like them.
Basically, it's like similar to Nocturne almost.
Yeah,
I heard Nocturne was brutally difficult.
That game like just throws you into the shit and just kills you. It's the same thing with all the mainline SMT games, the Shin Megami Tensei games. 4 will wreck your day too. The starting dungeon will just eat you up and spit you out. And you just kind of learn how to play the game that way. But again, like they also have an easy mode in that, and they don't penalize you for it.
Okay.
And the easy mode's not that easy, but I think that's the way to go. I mean, I'm all for some secret endings and like if you do an accomplishment or something, but it has to be reasonable. Like,
well, yeah, like what I think people, I mean, they're used to it now, but what I think people had to get used to when we grew up with consoles is that we still associated video games with arcade, which is why you would have like limited continues in something like Streets of Rage. Even though you already paid $50 for the game, you don't need to keep putting in quarters to get good. Like, you don't need a perma game over. They just wanted to extend the length to make your $50 feel worth it, because realistically it's like a 40-minute game. But at this point, it's just an obstacle that is a nuisance. We want to get to the end of the game. Perma game over is just like, well, now I gotta start over and do it again. And, like, again, I understand why they did that for, like, 30-minute games, even though it was annoying then, too. But now games are, like, 20, 30, 40 hours, so, like, the concept of a perma game over would, like, make people livid. But also, it just doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, I really don't like the gatekeeping kind of part of the discussion that's going on with this as well. Like, I'm better than you, so therefore, I should be able to play this game and you can't enjoy it.
Well, yeah, like, actually, just a couple days ago on Twitter, someone had made a semi-viral post that got a lot of responses, which this person had themselves responded to someone who had said, I played some hard game, but I used cheats and I beat it, so that feels good, man. Like, I got it through the game. And the guy was like, well, so you didn't really play then. Like, you need to get good. Like struggle is important in regarding success. And, like, he's not wrong in that working for your results is good, but at the same time, it's a video game. Fucking chill out. Like, you play it your way, they'll play it their way.
Yeah, I mean, think about it this way. This is the only popular medium that we have that requires like a skill to enjoy it. Like, reading is a base level skill, right? That's difficult for some people, but
well, to be fair, like, there are definitely levels of books you can read.
Correct. But for the most part, reading can be enjoyed by a large part of the population without too much trouble.
Well, yeah, the concept of reading, sure.
Okay, yeah, but movies and TV can be enjoyed by anybody with barely any skill at all, right?
Yeah, but like Dark Souls, like, nope.
Yeah.
Only the elite can
exactly. I mean, there are plenty of games out right now that are, like the walking simulators and things like that. Like the
no effort games.
What's that?
No effort games.
What's that?
No effort.
Oh, the no effort. I thought you said F word.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I was like, really? But yeah, like Firewatch, where you just kind of experience the story and you don't have to worry about dying, or like, I mean, Oxenfree isn't a walking simulator, but it's a no-skill game in terms of making it to the end credits. You're just kind of discovering what's going on.
Yeah, or like The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, or anything like that.
What Remains of Edith, or I think it's What Remains of Edith Finch or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, some of these games are really great experiences that can be experienced without any skill, very, very little skill level. You could just go around and experience the environments and things like that.
Yeah, but there aren't like I don't want to use the word gatekeeping again, but there aren't like just prohibitive like puzzles,
sure,
or like things that require more I hesitate to say physical skill, but like fighting and not dying and like dodging and stuff.
Geez, even some of the games that I played recently that have like a little bit of age to them. I've been playing Danganronpa 2 recently, and I've been getting towards the end of the game, and there's a part of the game that straight up says you could skip this if you want. We could just go ahead. I've seen, and even some like there are even some games too where like if you die 3 times or whatever, or like however many, it might just skip you to the next. Like if it's not a plot thing, it might just skip you to the next checkpoint. It's like, all right, well, let's just be done with that.
I do remember that in the game Tsiok, there is, I think, 2 parts where you can use skip. One is a part where you have to do sort of this run, like pull your mouse across this line. Specifically, like like those electric don't touch the wire type of game mechanic. You have to, you basically have to draw a specific shape, and the other was like playing a little sort of reflex game with sort of quick time events, series of quick time events. I nearly managed to do that without a hitch, but Toward the end, it gets a little bit cheeky, but I think I managed it without using a skip.
Well, and also this isn't skip, but to slightly mollify things, in Ori and the Blind Forest, there are a couple of escape sequences where this large black bird is attacking you, and you got to do this whole obstacle course like all in one shot, and it's actually pretty damn tough. Like you're supposed to die and try again, and like get used to how it works, but it's tough. But in I forgot what it's called, the director's cut or something, whatever the definitive version is, the patched version. If you're playing in easy mode, then the escape sequence has checkpoints, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Enchanted version, I think.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
I really think that this. I don't understand the debate. I don't know why you're.
I do. I just think that the people who are being gatekeepers are just kind of like low key, like throwing their weight around. Like I get where they're coming from, but I disagree.
Some
people they afraid that like it would like I think it's a slippery slope sort of logic that people would argue out that first we don't need an easy mode, then we need an easier game, then we need no challenge, and I do like myself for some adrenaline rush, and I don't like you can get that from a game that is too easy. There is a very fine line between having a game that is punishes you, but because it loves you, and just plainly breaks your balls.
The thing is though, like adding an easy mode is not the same thing as removing the normal or hard mode. Like it's just extra content as far as I'm concerned, or an extra mode, I should say. Like I understand like people who are going, well, you're not playing the game in the spirit it was created. Like I mean, they're right, but on the other hand, what if I just want to fucking beat the game? Like for example. I think I might have mentioned this before a long time ago. The Witcher, the whole series. If you play on normal and especially hard, then you have to do actual research, like with the in-game notes, to see what enemies live in what environments, and then prepare potions to prepare yourself for their attacks or whatever environmental crap you have to deal with. Like if it's dark, then you need to drink a potion that lets you see better. Stuff like that. And there on a hard mode, I think you must drink certain potions to be able to deal X kind of damage to certain enemies. But if you play it on easy mode, you could still do the potion thing, but you could also kill anything in the game with your sword. And I don't feel like doing homework and like making the game take way the hell longer than it would. I just want to whack shit with my sword until it falls down. So like I don't usually play games on easy mode, but I absolutely played The Witcher on easy mode. And actually regarding that same idea, you might even notice now, you know how some games with their difficulty selections, it'll describe what the difficulty means? Like it'll say like hard mode for the toughest players only, or something like that. I've seen several games say under easy mode, like for the players who just want to experience the story, or something like that. And like sometimes that's all you want.
Absolutely.
The thing is with the Souls games, good luck with that, because it's hard to even experience the story.
Yeah, that's...
Go find it.
Keep the change, you filthy animal. But I think we're all pretty much in agreement here. How about you, Dracologist? What do you think in general here? Because you like a hard game pretty well.
It depends on the difficulty. Generally it's not the game difficulty that problem, but it's small niggles that pile up, like having if we take Hollow Knight, like certain badges are not as powerful as the description would say. Certain attacks doesn't like combat feels a little bit too simple. The full contact damage thing. These are small niggles, but they add up to a big one.
Well, that's more general game design, though. That's not like advocating against the level of difficulty, I guess.
As for difficulty, well, I think.
I mean, it's just.
I'm not the type who say
because people are whining about Sekiro.
People are whining because they've grown up on something easy like Candy Crush or something.
Well, not even that. A lot of even Souls fans were complaining about Sekiro at first because you can't take your Souls skill set and use it to do well in Sekiro.
No,
Like,
because
Sekiro
it's a
was
completely
originally
different
designed
game.
to be a Tenchu game, and Tenchu is a stealth game.
People went into this game thinking this will be another Dark Souls. It is not.
Well, that's exactly what it was. People were complaining about that, and it's like, no, you need a completely different game set. It's like playing Doom and thinking that that'll make you good at Deus Ex because they're both FPSs. It's like, yeah they are, but you'll get the shit kicked out of you in Deus Ex if you try that shit.
I would just say that if you think, like, you have to readjust, you have to learn the game.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing, though, because even Souls players were intimidated by Sekiro. That raises the subject of, like, should there be an easy difficulty? So, like, that's where it all comes from, at least for this particular game.
Maybe the game should not, like, I guess, like, constantly having a From game that every time a From Software game starts a boss fight that automatically pulverizes you into the ground and tells you...
Oh, yeah, From Software always does that. Well, at least the Souls games always do that. Like, the very, very first boss is the, like, welcome to my world boss. Like the Vanguard in Demon's Souls. It was a lot more beatable in Dark Souls. But if you tried fighting him straight at first, you'll get your ass kicked. Dark Souls 2 had the Cyclops, which was not a boss, but it'll kick your ass. Bloodborne has a basic-ass Scourge Beast, but when you're level 1 with no weapon, you're probably... Like, you can beat him, but...
I
welcome to my world.
Actually saw, like, Seth Orban beat that boss that you supposed to lose to. And it's
in which game?
Sekiro.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't.
He actually beat the big samurai dude, and actually, like, the extra scene is that. Well, it was.
Well, don't tell me.
We don't tell me, but it was like that was it, and it was like, what? There's no achievement, just bragging rights.
Well, yeah, it was the same thing for Demon's Souls. You get a couple of basic items and like a preview for a later boss, but you don't get an achievement for beating the tutorial. It was just like, oh, good for you.
Anyway, that was it. But yeah, I've seen people play it pretty well. Actually, they kind of found the beat how to play it, even if.
Well, that's the whole thing, though. You just got to realize that this is not a Souls game, even though it's made by FromSoft.
Yes. Yeah. Again, it keep reminding me of Tenchu.
Yeah, well, like I said, it was originally designed. It was originally going to actually be a Tenchu game.
Nice.
But then it turned into something else.
It kind of fused the two games.
All right, guys. Well, there's a lot of room to be talking about this. I think we said a lot of good things here. Any final?
I said mostly bad things.
any final points that you wanted to make before we move on to our stuff from our weekly stuff from last week and this week?
If you want to play on normal or hard, then do it. Nobody's stopping you.
All right, good point. How about you, Dracologist? Any final thoughts?
Not much. If someone is...
Well, people that listened last week, we of course promised that our fan interactions, which we had pretty decent amount of from last week, would be covered this week. So it is last week's and this week's are all covered. So have no fear, we did eventually get to it here. So Lotus, could you move on to some fan reactions here?
Sure. So first we have Living Corpse. Now this was talking about sci-fi technology we would like to see in the future. And Living Corpse says, commercial space shuttle flights, so traveling doesn't take so long. Technically, it could be possible with technology today, but it'd be stupid expensive. Yeah, no doubt.
It would take forever.
Yeah, right. Lazrul has, now that me and GZ are back to working on our own projects on full blast, because like guns brasters, on full blast, you might be hard-pressed to get to Fucker in the Gulag before Fucker in the Rome and Horkamon, I don't even know what that is, come out. Just dropping a little exclusive gaming rumor of things to come on the comment section here. Heh. P.S. Ryukaze is 44 years old in Fucker in the Gulag. Oh boy. And it's sort of a plot point, but not really. You have to read between the lines to get the full scoop. Fucker in the Gulag is what is known as a thinking man's game. I think I actually laughed out loud when I first read that. If you are interested in Let's Playing it in the far future, then you'd better be prepared to voice 12 plus different characters. I also recommend the desktop version over the browser version, because then you have access to the tasteful jiggle physics. What? The game itself is roughly as long as the first one, but at least twice as shitty. This guy's a freaking genius, man.
Love him. Love him.
It's at least twice as shitty. I still love the fucker in the woods' notepad, like, FAQs. Help, this game is terrible. This cannot be fixed. Dracologist yourself had pointed out, in LA Noire, the best way to do the investigation is to select lie, because you can back out of it. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, you can. Actually, this is something that Ben Kroschel brought up in his zero punctuation review. Like, anytime you if you call out someone on lie, it's just like, oh no, you can't prove that I ate the biscuits, and you can just, okay, I don't have the biscuit tin, I have to look around for it.
That is a good call. Although, you know what sucks though, is when there could have been proof and you don't have it and you know you're stuck. You're like,
you can just back out and start over.
But anyway, you also say, as for other detective games, there's a lot on the DOS and Amiga, like Laura Bow. Yeah, Laura Bow is freaking sweet. Dagger of Amon-Ra or Malpiti Island. Also on Steam recently came the game Unheard. And going to the different discussion, Dune, because we had talked about how Star Wars kind of ripped it off, but you said that Dune was more ripped off by Warhammer 40k, if you believe that. As for sci-fi tech, renewable infinite power sources, like if possible, faster than light travel, terraforming, so we could get off this rock. Well, yeah, we just need the Genesis device from Star Trek 2. Second level safe nanotechnology for medical purposes, artificial life, bioengineering, that'd be rad. Baka Sensei has a couple of things to say. One of them is Stadia, the Google Stadia, is an old idea, updated. Remember OnLive? The same concept, but 10 years early, and you had to purchase the games. PlayStation Now was a good try, and I'm wondering how much it would cost to purchase or play games. They didn't give any details, just made gamers doubt in Google's intentions. And then Baka Sensei also says, regarding detective games, they say, I played the Ace Attorney main games, but wanted also to play the spin-offs like Edwards, Apollos, Ancestors of Phoenix Wrights, and other games. Did not complete this, but Sherlock Holmes' Devil's Daughter was good for all the details you had to check and limited time to pick up evidence, and also had a lot of sense. Not to mention that you don't know if you did the right thing, at least not to my knowledge or checking walkthroughs.
I would like to check that out, actually, the Sherlock Holmes game.
I think I remember that game.
And as for technology, this is something that I don't know what it is because I didn't watch it, but the nerve gear of Sword Art Online and skipping the kill switch. I guess they're explaining it though, like a VR headset that sends you into the game, so it's almost like dot hack maybe.
How did it count in Overlord? Deep dive virtual reality.
And then Baka Sensei one more time. And then, thanks for the complete clipped version of pre-WrestleMania. As always, Old Man Stompy, thanks for the short version of the events leading to the event. It's great to see the women's division is a great part this year. I always felt that if an MMA fighter went to wrestling, it was downgrading, but after seeing Ronda Rousey getting better after fighting depression, that was triggered, I guess, with the loss of her title and how people treated her after. And, this is one I don't know anything about, but have any of us watched the movie Fighting with My Family? Because I have not.
I've seen the trailer.
That's a very new movie. It's supposedly really good. It was had The Rock in it, and it was based on a true story. It was a movie where The Rock played himself.
So he's The Rock Johnson?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow, Dwayne Johnson. It says, I'm with you guys. Time travel would be my choice, but if I had to choose another thing, it'd be mind-reading technology. And then General Ledger says, speaking of, the funny thing is, I am extremely against time travel and mind-reading technology. They're like the episode 1 of Kino's journey went into a bad place with mind-reading technology because no one could turn it off. And so everyone lived far apart from everyone else because it was the only way they could get any kind of privacy and not fuck with other people. So General Ledger says, speaking of the Jetsons, I'd like their cars that collapse into briefcases so we could eliminate parking trouble. I completely forgot about that. That's freaking insane.
Yeah, but that thing that defies several laws of space containment.
Yeah. Spider-Man's web fluid would be rather useful in construction.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it dissolves in about an hour, but it would be long enough to, say, plug a leaking pipe when you run to the store for replacement parts, or hold an I-beam upright while you weld it in place. So it might be useful precisely because it is temporary. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, this is what interesting plot part. Like, I made a highly cohesive substance that only exists for a limited period of time, and nobody, and he actively says that nobody wanted it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then General Ledger also says, I'm fine with villain redemptions as long as there's effort put into it. I dislike the... Yeah, dislike the I'm good now because I got my ass handed to me excuse in anime. Like, you beat me, I guess I'm good now. Like, what?
There is a couple
you
of
beat me up, therefore I'm your friend.
Yeah.
No, there is a good fun iteration for that concept that when the big bad, not bad guy, but there's this big brawl, and now we are friends because I make friendship through fighting.
Yeah, I respect your fighting spirit or whatever. We're talking like villains who are just like, well, I guess I'm good now. Hawkeye and Black Widow are good examples of redeemed villains. They started as Iron Man Cold War style villains, but had several story arcs about them struggling with coming to terms with and making amends for their crimes before they were accepted as heroes. Another is Batgirl's redemption of Savant. She strong-arms him into being her sidekick until he willingly became her double agent in Suicide Squad and sabotaged the Legion of Doom schemes. Though it seems a hero falling to villainy is an even more difficult story to make. The only good one I could think of is, this was interesting. Gendy Tartakovsky's take on Anakin in the older Clone Wars cartoon, which was handled better than the actual Star Wars movies. I remember there was one scene where they actually addressed in a, God forbid, subtle way that he was going darker, where he was fighting this evil Force user, like evil Jedi, who wielded like 2 red lightsabers, and Anakin lost his, but he knocked one of hers out of her hand, and you just see him all badass, like, force pull the red lightsaber to him, and now he's wielding a red lightsaber, and it's like, that's all you need. There were no words. It was great.
Yep.
He wasn't evil, but you could tell he's on his way, and you know where he's going to ultimately go, so it was a cool touch. So yeah, like, Anakin had to make increasingly difficult moral decisions for the good of the war effort that made his fall feel natural. You know, instead of get super mad in episode 2 and now he's gonna fucking murder a room full of children. Get the fuck out of here. Are there any fallen hero stories that you thought were good? Like heroes turning to the dark side? That's kind of a tougher one for me, I gotta admit. Because, like, it's really difficult to handle, like, now I'm evil as opposed to, like, a slow, gradual, this isn't working for me. Like, I haven't actually, like, this is such an ass pull because I haven't read the comics or seen the movies, but the concept of Marvel's Civil War, where it's a disagreement of principle that just keeps escalating, it's not even really falling to villainy, but it's just look at what this shit has turned into.
Yeah.
It's probably one that I can't remember.
I always enjoyed, the Green Ranger turning good. That was always fun.
Ooh. So that was actually kind of cool. Oh, actually, this is almost a retroactive good guy turning to evil, so I don't know if it counts. But Sephiroth, like, it was straight up from Final Fantasy VII. Like, it was surreal seeing, what was the PSP game called? Crisis Core?
Crisis Core.
It was surreal, just, like, seeing your guy Zack in the hub area, and Sephiroth is just an NPC off standing to the side and you could talk to him. And he's like, swing your sword harder for more damage. And I'm like, wow! Like, he's just kind of hanging out. Like, it was so weird.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that kind of thing. I also like it when the good guy in the first game or first entry is the villain in the next.
Oh, that's amazing!
In the next one,
this is not good evil, but it's like red in Pokemon Gold, and you're like, oh shit.
There was a
when he's like the Elite Four guy.
In Torchlight 2, actually, you actually meet with the previous game's characters, and one of the characters is the main villain.
Actually, Deus Ex 2 pulls that. Invisible War. Like, there's a part where you deal with JC, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's actually the final antagonist, isn't he? He's the boss of the game.
It's antagonist. One of the characters you can speak to is. Deus Ex has multiple choices.
That's true. Oh, this doesn't really count, not quite, but in one of the Siren games, I forgot which, maybe even the first one. I think Blood Curse does it, but the game, like, you play as a bunch of different characters, and not all of their stories end well. And so sometimes, like, you'll conclude a character story by dying, like, as a plot scripted thing, and then, like, later when you're playing as some other character, you'll encounter your previous playable character as one of the, I want to say Ganado, but it's not it, one of the Shibito, and, like, they're, like, this creepy possessed zombie ghost thing, and, like, your new character, I don't think has any idea who it is, but you, the player, do, and you're like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, I do like this kind of stuff. I'm trying to think of. I'm thinking of opposites. Where like in Far Cry 2, you're actually fighting, supposedly fighting the protagonist from the first game. I'm thinking of the opposite. Yeah. Apparently there are fan theories, but it's pretty. I think it's pretty obvious.
Actually, speaking of which, this is not good evil. But in Zelda Twilight Princess, every once in a while, you learn a new sword move from, like, a skeleton who was, like, a former hero, and apparently it's Ocarina of Time Link, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, one of the hints is that he fights with his left hand, because Link is kind of famously left-handed. Ironically, except for Twilight Princess, if you're playing it on the Wii.
All right. I think we covered this pretty well. We can actually move on to the actual fan question.
Yeah, which is also from General Ledger. If you could time travel and witness, but not interfere with, any event, just watch, what would you choose, if any? I honestly, this is kind of low key, but it would be interesting just to go back to the 1960s and watch the moon landing on TV, and just, it's almost like...
What moon landing?
Oh, okay. No, but it's almost like you know how there are some movies with, like, cliche twists, like Vader is as Luke's father, and, like, everybody knows like the moon landing on TV would have been like that if you could go back to the movie theater and watch everyone go like, oh, like, and, like, actually not know, like, it would just be interesting to see something react to that for the first time.
Well, honestly, what I would go is. It's a little bit cheeky, but go back to the days where Nikola Tesla was still alive and just copy paste, hopefully copy paste all of his stuff.
Oh, because, yeah, you can't interfere with it, but that doesn't mean you can't, like, mentally note something down or something, or write it down on your own little pad of paper or whatever. That actually would be interesting. Like, going back to the Library of Alexandria and just, like, seeing what it was before it burned down.
Technology lost.
Maybe you're the one who started the fire, though.
Yeah, that's what it is. Because I time traveled, I caused the burn. It's one of those bullshit
Didn't we started that we cannot interact?
It's like how Marty McFly ripped off of, and yet ironically created Chuck Berry's, like, Go Johnny Go song.
Johnny Be Good.
Johnny Be Good, that's what it's called, yeah.
But you went back to the Library of Alexandria, but then your glasses fall off and break, and you're like, it's not fair. There was time now.
It's okay, I can still read the big print. Your eyes fall out. It's okay, I can still read Braille. Your hands fall off.
Oh wait, it's all in Greek. Shit.
Yeah, it's all in ancient Greek.
Everything looks like shapes.
It's all Greek to me.
I would have liked to have seen what happened with Roswell. Like, I just wanna see what happened. I am sure it is being made out to be more complicated than it was.
Somebody accidentally pissed himself or something. It's really embarrassing. Really didn't want anybody to know. So he made, like, the biggest cover-up story fucking ever. Oh, you don't want to even enter the property of this building. Fuck off.
But yeah, I am very curious about that. I'm curious about a lot of things in history. I mean,
just watch how the Egyptians actually built the pyramids.
I mean, I think I know it's trite, but viewing the life of Christ would be definitely something to check out, right?
But I wanted to say that in Roswell, the FBI wouldn't be going to see you. In the Christ thing, the Inquisition going to see you.
Yeah,
no, like, you know what I love? You know what I love though is just the concept of going. You know what I want to do? I want to go back to the Middle Ages. It's like, even if it's English, you won't know what the fuck they're saying. They'll speak Middle English if you're lucky, and Old English if you're not.
It depends on how far. I mean, like, if you're in the 1600s, you'll understand.
You might have a chance, but I'm thinking, like, even Chaucer's times, like, oh man,
oh, that's Middle English, yeah, nah.
Yeah, exactly. I want to meet the guy who wrote the Canterbury Tales, and like, nope. Like, people who speak out loud, you're done. You don't have a fucking chance.
Everything gives you diarrhea.
Slang.
Literally
like,
everything.
People like so many people think that Shakespeare is Old English because it's old.
It's modern English.
It's modern English. Like, there are slang terms you don't understand, but guess what? There are slang terms from 30 years ago that you don't understand. Shakespeare's just that, but further back. Middle English, you're in trouble. Old English, you're fucked.
Yeah, I mean, Shakespeare is considered solidifying modern English, actually. So, I mean, that's where a lot of the rules got cemented. Is with
and didn't
Shakespeare.
He, like, invent a whole bunch of words too?
Tons. Actually, the word stuff.
Yes, stuff. Also, assassinate. Like, I think, like, we had assassin, the person who does it, and we had murder, but, like, an assassin assassinates? I need that extra syllable for my line.
He also invented ass out.
Oh, took me a second.
And I bite my thumb.
Yeah. Do you bite your thumb at me, sir? No, I am not biting my thumb at you, sir. But I do bite my thumb, sir. What an asshole. Like, that's the thing. So many people talk about Romeo and Juliet as high art and a genuine tragedy when it opens with rape jokes and it lampoons Romeo and Juliet. Like, it is a tragedy, but it's making fun of their stupid situation.
Well, I mean, a lot of people, first of all, don't realize that it was considered low entertainment at the time. Like,
street people would, a bunch of Shakespeare plays.
Street people would go see it. You wouldn't see, like,
well, yeah,
nobles.
This was the movies. Anybody could see it.
Yeah, exactly. This was intended for people on the street to enjoy. So, people were hawking seats, like, in the streets to people, and...
Yeah. And you had just lowbrow humor all the time. Why not? Like, that's what you're catering to. But again, even Romeo and Juliet's tragedy, like, the play itself makes fun of it. When Romeo goes to Friar Lawrence and he's like, I want to marry this girl Juliet, and Friar Lawrence is like, who's Juliet? Don't you still have tear stains on your face from Rosaline from, like, literally yesterday? And he's like, no, but this is the one for real. And it's like, there's, like, it is a tragedy. You're sad when people start dying, but the whole thing is stupid and should never have happened.
Absolutely.
Back to the time travel
also,
thing.
The story was kind of trite by that time too.
Well, that's another thing. Like, a lot of people today in high school are like, "Oh man, I don't know how it ends." But, like, back then, I think it was based on, like, a famous poem or something, and it was fleshed out into a play. So on day one, everybody knew how the play ended, and in fact, the play literally opens by telling you how it ends.
Yeah, exactly.
The chorus tells you how it ends, but it's like the Odyssey. Odysseus wins. But it's 24 books. How do you get to that point? Like, that's why it's... How is Odysseus going to beat 100 guys? Well, that's why you're still in your seat, Like, so that's the same with Romeo and Juliet. How do we get there?
I think I told you about this, but when I was in high school, Troy was coming out. The Brad Pitt movie?
Oh, you've told me this. Yeah, it's so stupid.
And, it was coming out on, like, Thursday. They were doing, like, a midnight opening for it, because it was going to be a popular movie. Yeah. And all these girls were, like, really excited to see the movie. And
Brad Pitt's in, like, peak physical condition.
Yeah. He's man meat, whatever, yeah. But, I'm like, oh, Brad Pitt dies at the end. And they were like, well, why did you ruin it? I was just like... This is literally one of the oldest
spoilers.
This is a 4,000-year-old story. It's literally one of the oldest stories we have.
Foot named after him. Like, what do you think that came from?
They didn't know.
And they were like, "Why'd you ruin it?" I was like, "I didn't even see the movie."
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's like Romeo and Juliet. Like, sorry for the 500-year-old spoilers. Jesus Christ. That on day one of the original play, everyone already knew anyway. Like, the only reason we don't know is precisely because it's 500 years old.
I mean, like you could sometimes play with that. I mean, like you had Inglourious Bastards. You're like, how are they going to lose?
That was
how are they going to lose?
The greatest
they don't.
twist fucking ever. That was hilarious.
I was dying. Like Hitler's being pumped full of bullets. And like, you're like, what?
That was the funniest shit ever, man.
I mean, spoiler alert for that movie, but if you haven't gotten to it, I mean, by now, God. But it's not historically accurate in the slightest.
Oh my god, that was good. That was so funny.
In the best possible way.
That is when like people talk about movies subverting my expectations. Like that's how you fucking do it.
Yeah, have a real event totally turned on its head, and the whole. Like, your whole perception of reality has changed. You're like, what?
Oh, yeah, this is historical fiction.
I
didn't realize it was that fiction.
That was quite good. Any other points you wanted to make, Dracologist?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that if other places I visit in time, well, definitely would like to see the ancient Mesopotamian and ancient
that would be really neat.
Mesoamerican civilization. Like how do these buildings look? How do the architecture look? And of course dinosaurs, because why not?
Actually, speaking of how did this look, what would be interesting is like pre-horrible death, like pre-Vesuvius Pompeii.
Yeah, why not? Like a bustling ancient Roman city. That would be really cool.
Yeah, just because, yeah.
I would like to check out any of these things, any of these like mythical things, right? Like the Battle of Troy. Why not? That would be really neat. What did it actually happen? That kind of thing.
We know that because Hannibal happened.
Well, we know Hannibal was real from other corroborations on that, I believe, right? That wasn't just part of
the Romans probably did not forget that suddenly the elephants arrived in their doorstep. Mm-hmm. What is this giant monster with this tentacle from its nose?
You know what? I would go back to ancient Greek times and look at the battle from 300 and see if they really had that giant crab monster. Or the lobster guy, lobster claw man.
The goats.
Yeah, do you think Xerxes really had literal monsters on his team? That'd be really makes you think.
Who knows?
Did they really kick people into the pit, and what did it sound like?
Literally kill the messenger, which the guy directly called out. Like, you can't kill a messenger. Fuck you! He just kicks him in the pit.
Oh man, did you ever see the rated G version of 300?
I don't know.
Oh man, it was just like brush your teeth.
That's stupid. I would go back to the 1980s and see if see if America really definitively won the Vietnam War and if the Watchmen really existed.
And you could watch the Watchmen.
Who watches the Watchmen? It
me.
Was me.
I did it.
I did it. It's like on Futurama. What really killed the dinosaurs? Me. What? The brain just shooting lasers. It's fucking stupid.
All right.
That was a Ren and Stimpy joke somewhere, I think.
I can believe that. I didn't watch much Ren and Stimpy, but I could totally believe that.
I had the unfortunate to watch a few episodes.
I hated it as a kid, but as an adult,
I love it.
A lot of it still grosses me out, but I appreciate it way more.
No, I can't appreciate it now.
I love it now. The only thing is I hate the guy who made it. Like, absolutely hate John Kay. He is the scum of humanity.
That's a shame.
Yeah, no.
I just remember there was this one character on the show that the scene was supposed to be extremely uncomfortable. He's just this hard ass, intimidating guy, and he's getting on Ren and
George Liquor.
Case. What?
George Liquor is his name.
I don't know anyone's name. But when he was looking at Ren and Stimpy's hands, and they're all soft and smooth because they just have a cushy life. And he's like, these are the hands of a working man. And it does one of those gross, hyper-realistic... He's got, stalactites coming off of his fucking hand, or stalagmites. But, the best part, though, was when it got supremely uncomfortable, where, no one knows what to say. And he's like, you guys just comedians. You have it so easy. Why can't I be a comedian? I should be able to do it. You want to hear a joke? And they're like, yeah. And this is, a terrifying guy. And they're like, sure. And he's like, all right, here we go. Why did they bury the fireman behind the hill? And they're like, I don't know. Why did they bury the fireman behind the hill? And the guy's like, because he was dead. And he just kind of like, and he just gets right up in their face and like waits for them to laugh. And you're just like, holy shit, like how is this scene gonna end? It was amazing. It's so uncomfortable. It's great.
All right. Well, I think we should wrap up on that punchline.
Yeah, great.
All right.
But this was a good discussion this week. This was really good. I really want to thank all of our fans for being as active as they have been, because you guys have really stepped up in the last couple weeks. Please keep it up. We've been really enjoying the amount of interaction. That is the show for this week. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions. Please keep us supplied with awesome topics by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and Soundcloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It's really the only way that Lotus eats. While there,
That really got me. It's like the opening credits of Freakazoid. Like sometimes the lyrics change a little bit, and it says something like please watch our show, or like they made it rhyme, but it was like please watch our show, or like we can't pay our bills or whatever. It shows like the animators like wearing barrels instead of clothes.
It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement keeps food on the table at Mama Lotus's house. Finally, you can catch us on Tuesdays on our sister podcast, Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth look at this week in our lives. Finally, you can friend me on as vysethebold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, Twitter, GOG, the BattleNet, and any other piece of crap you could think of.
Stomp or Clomp or some piece of crap.
Exactly. I was gonna say the whatchamacallit, the Unreal one now that's up now, the front end that everybody is bashing.
Oh.
Unity.
Well, you won't find me there, but you can find me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in a conversation, just one, a conversation, with me and other patrons on Discord, I was just kidding, it's multiple conversations, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And you can find me on Skype, Steam, on Discord on the layer of the Crocos World, and recently discussed as a tournament, and you can download me at the Unity Asset Store.
All right.
I can download you?
Yes.
You wouldn't download a Dracologist.
Yeah, you have to pay for me.
Oh.
All right, guys. Well, we'll catch you on Tuesday for another rousing discussion on Reactive. We'll catch you then.
Until next time, everyone.
And good night.